Well, I was flying with a crop circle researcher. We were flying to the southwest of the field here, and I went over a fixed route that I do many times, so I know all the fields in the area, and on the way out there was no crop circle in this particular area. It was fairly close to the canal in the middle of the Vale of Pewsey. We were no more than 10 minutes. We circled a few times, came back, and on the way back there was a crop circle in the field, and I pointed it out to the crop circle researcher, and we both agreed that crop circle was not there on the way out, on the journey on the way out. So it must have appeared during daylight within 10 or 15 minutes maximum. And I couldn't see any people in the field. I could see no cars. There were no roads going to the field, just a small farm track, and I couldn't see how it could be made in 10 or 15 minutes.
The impressions that I have of the crop circles, that there is no way they could be made by humans. There is no way. They are so complex, they are so wonderful.
I think it brings people together from all over the world, and it's art in a wonderful way.
You know, it's so weird. It seems to happen only within minutes, and it's impossible to understand how it's done.
Det finns ju många mysterier i världen. Many mysteries are to be found in the world that only a few people have been lucky enough to observe, such as UFOs and ghosts, for instance. But the crop circles are different. They are tangible. Anyone can visit them. So when you study them, it does something to you. Perhaps it changes your perspective a little, and that you understand that there's more between heaven and earth than you first thought.
Every summer, hundreds of these strange patterns appear in fields all over the world. What on earth are they? Who has created them? Why do they do it, and what is their meaning? It happens in wheat, barley, oats, rye, rape. It happens in sand and even in snow and ice during the winter. It happens where the landscape can be used as a huge canvas. Are some jokers out just trying to create a little attention? It's easy to jump to that conclusion, but that's before you take a closer look at this phenomenon. When one studies the crop circles close at hand and in detail, it's impossible to avoid that strange feeling that something else might be behind it all. It's impressive to see how the crop has been laid flat. Firstly, the edges have been clean cut, no trampling or bending. It's as though the crop has been combed with a huge comb. From the air, it looks as if a giant stamp has been used in the field. The phenomena often start in early summer, when the crop is green, and continues right up to harvesting. It normally happens during the nights, but sometimes in the middle of the day. In a surprisingly way, the crop has been flattened with great precision. and no formation is alike or seems to be half finished. The complexity varies, but even so the beauty in the symbols and the overwhelming geometry is really astounding. The mystery and the wonder are just as great every time they are discovered. And the enormous size of many of these patterns makes the whole phenomenon even more incomprehensible.
If you look at the Milk Hill Formation, now you only had 4 hours of night, I should say, and it was raining. Now when I went in it first thing in the morning, there was no sign of any mud on the stalks. They were dead flat, and it was very, very meticulous, and there's no way you could put that pattern down in 4 hours of darkness. And you've got to remember, this area of Britain, you're not in total darkness, you're in semi-darkness. Now I know for a fact that night there were people on the hill, and to make something that big you would have had to have made a certain amount of noise, and nobody heard anything or saw anything.
Who are putting down these patterns? What is creating these formations? It still remains a mystery. The theories are many, which of course makes the whole phenomena even more interesting. And so far the fields of southern England have been canvas for most of these crop formations.
Southern England, which appears to reassemble a huge crop field in itself, is divided up by small villages crisscrossed with twisting canals and roads. So this is where crop circles have been registered in great numbers. The first were already been observed several hundred years ago, and were often seen as the work of the devil, as here, depicted in a copper engraving from 1678. Or one thought that elves had danced in the crop fields and left elf rings.
Over and over, there's nearly no decade where we don't have crop circle reports, and there are so many witnesses of early crop circles. Many farmers, if you talk to them, they remember having played in crop circles when they were kids, and remember stories from their parents and even their grandparents about the crop circles. And there is, around the world, we can find that the crop circles have played such an important part in the daily life, even centuries ago, that they have become part of the folklore and part of the culture.
As early as in the 1920s, crop circles were reported frequently in England, but it wasn't until the 1980s and 90s that interest grew, and that's when the dimensions and complexity became truly sensational. In recent years, some 100 to 300 crop circles have appeared here each summer. What is so special about this area?